I'm Jody Franklin, and I'm here today with Reese and Kevin. I'll introduce them, but we're here to discuss today compounded GLP-1s and NAD plus, and what you need to know to increase revenue in your practice. These, uh, peptides and the NAD plus are just hot, and everybody's looking for them. And I know you all are very aware that, you have to support your patients with these medications, especially the GLP-1, and make sure that they're exercising and eating right. And you can be so instrumental in helping them, supporting them for massive weight loss in people that are clinically obese and people that are having cardiovascular issues. I mean, there's so many benefits to these, which I know we're going to talk about today. But I do want to introduce these guys officially. So I know they said a little bit of hello to some of you earlier, but Reese Phillips and Kevin Crumley are the co-founders of Pure Path Pharmacy. This is a fast-growing compounding pharmacy built on innovation, compliance, and provider-first partnerships. Reese is also the founder of Preferred Senior Benefits, one of the Mountain West's leading Medicare advisory firms, and brings over a decade of experience building successful companies in healthcare, insurance, and real estate and financial consulting. And Kevin brings more than a decade of executive leadership in pharmacy operations, branding, and healthcare consulting, having helped grow a compounding pharmacy from a startup to a $24 million regional leader in under 3 years. Together, their combined expertise in entrepreneurship, compliance, and growth strategy drives PurePath's mission to deliver better solutions for providers and their patients. So welcome, you guys. I've been meeting with these guys regularly, and I'm super impressed with the products and the delivery, and I can't wait to discuss it today. So if any of you have questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat, and I'll try to get to all of them as we go along. And I just had a few questions to start out. I mean, can you just give us kind of an overview of Pure Path compounding and what makes your approach different from the traditional compounding pharmacies?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you everyone once again for your time. And Jody, super excited to chat with you and your community. So Pure Path is a sterile compounding pharmacy that me and my co-founder Kevin started ultimately because me and Kevin had been working together for years. He had been in the compounding vertical, and he was just really frustrated with the lack of innovation, kind of the being stuck in the dark ages, as unfortunately that vertical is. And we decided that we wanted to revolutionize a vertical that desperately, in our opinion, needed it. There's a ton of differentiating factors that we'll go over in today's presentation. One of the key ones I think ultimately is coming down to we're very much a niche pharmacy, and we do that for a reason. So we consider ourselves a Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out model versus a McDonald's or Wendy's. And what I mean by that is we compound 3 medications and 3 medications only. We want to offer those medications at a super competitive price, very, very, very high quality, and do it very, very efficiently to ultimately help our providers. So the drugs that we compound here are semaglutide, tirzepatide, and NAD+. Both of our GLP-1s we compound with vitamin B6 to help with nausea, and we do it at a very, very efficient format. On top of that, we're the only sterile compounding pharmacy in the country that can offer these GLP-1s and NAD plus at scale in the first ever FDA-approved American-made safety delivery pen, which we will talk about in a little bit. And we decided to revolutionize and roll that product out because we do feel that it's the safest delivery system that we've seen on the market based on the information that we have from a sterility and ease of use perspective. And it also can help clinicians really scale their business with an efficient product in a simple system. And I think that's kind of the main thing that we focus on is ultimately patient safety, leveraging system automation and AI to be the most efficient at the things that we do well. And we want to be very focused on that.
Excellent. And just in terms of sterility, because you mentioned that a couple times, how do you ensure that sterility compliance when it comes to these compounded formulas?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of different things. I'll let Kevin speak on this because this is really his area of expertise.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Reese. So one of the things that we oftentimes try to do to kind of differentiate ourselves in this area is really to invite those that want to come see the pharmacy to actually come and see the pharmacy. First and foremost, you can tell the difference between, a sterile pharmacy and a non-sterile pharmacy, or a clean pharmacy and not a clean pharmacy. It's a very similar situation to if you walk into a public restroom, you can tell which ones are well maintained and which ones are not. So we try to be kind of that spick and span clean. Now, as far as the regulations and all of that stuff is concerned, we follow USP 797. We are certified by a third-party clean room certifier. We do batch testing on all of our compounds, which includes, stability, sterility, method of suitability, potency, and endotoxin testing. I mean, I could bore you for hours on end when it comes to all of that fun stuff that we do. But if that's something that people are interested in, we can jump on Zoom calls and kind of walk people through our pharmacy and, just show you the difference between what it is that we do and what it is that most pharmacies do.
That's amazing. Tell everybody where you're located too, just in case anyone takes you up on that.
Yeah. So we are in Boise, Idaho. I was actually born and raised in the state. So, it just kind of made sense as far as where we're living. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but we actually have a really good shipping hub here in Boise. So we're able to kind of service all across the country in a really kind of seamless, quick manner. So we are in Boise, and we, what was I going to say? Go ahead.
No, it's okay. So I'm curious about the delivery method that Kevin had mentioned earlier. Sorry, Reese had mentioned it earlier. And it's kind of looks like an EpiPen, doesn't it? And it's made in America, which I love. It's very safe. It's kind of a game changer for you guys. I think you guys are the only ones with this kind of delivery method. Can you tell us more about it, Reese?
Absolutely, Joe. Yeah, so we're the only sterile compounding pharmacy in the country that's delivering this safety pin at volume. And I'll give you a little bit of background on it. So the company is based here in the United States. The product is made in the United States. It is FDA approved as a safety delivery device for compounded medications. And it's something where we're taking the compounded medications and they're being compounded in our sterile clean facility, in our clean room, which we have one of the largest in the West Coast, if not the United States. Then we're taking those compounds, putting them in a glass syringe, and then they're being put into the safety delivery device that makes it easier for patients and easier for practitioners. So let's talk about it really quickly. So this is what the pen looks like. It comes pre-filled, so you get 4 in a box. We up to 2-day shipping. So anywhere from here to Florida to New York, it's 2-day shipping, 2-day turnaround. If we get our scripts in by 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, we normally have the scripts to the patient no later than 2 business days, Monday through Thursday. Comes pre-filled. The patient simply takes off the lid. They never see the needle. It's because it's protected by the safety shield. For practitioners, right, that increases your potential panel size by 20-30%. Because how many patients are deathly afraid of the needle or want to come in and see you every time they do injections or things like that? After that, they simply compress it down into their stomach, press down on the pen like you would any other pen, and then throw it away. You don't need a sharps container. There's 3 different areas to put it in. The one we focus on mostly is via your leg in the pocket of the fatty tissue, fatty area in your abdomen or behind your arm. Usually behind your arm is done with somebody helping you. But this takes away the guesswork. It takes away the sterility issue of the MDVs. We still do offer multi-dose vials as kind of a way to help people transition into the pens as an option. But it stops people from overdosing, underdosing, sharing. I think I told you this, Jody, that when we first met, we had a patient tell us, or a provider tell us, excuse me, that they had a patient that had a wedding in 2 weeks and they needed to lose 20 pounds. So they thought it'd be great to break the lid off the MDV and drink the GLP-1. So obviously they went to the hospital, had their stomach stumped, things of that nature. But that pen delivery system removes that from the patient viewpoint and utilization. It makes it easier for them, right? There's one major downside to the pen, which is very interesting that this is a downside, but it is in most cases, you cannot feel the needle when you're injecting yourself, which may sound like, okay, that's awesome. But the issue we have is for the first time patient utilizing it, they have to be educated heavily. That's why we are, provider only. That's the only way we deliver this. the education from the provider, the videos that we supply to educate them on. Once you go down, Kevin likes to call it falling on your sword, push it in, push it down, and you're done. So the fact that we can't say it's pain-free, we haven't done those studies yet, but I can tell you that that is the feedback we get, is that we can't feel the needle. And because you can't see it, it enables you to leverage those delivery systems and ultimately scale. I know we're going to talk about how we generate more revenue with this product in the delivery system and the GLP-1s and NAD in a little bit later, but that also is going to play a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing that it's hard to feel. And I know that a lot of patients might have issues with sticking themselves with a needle. I mean, I know I hate getting my own blood taken. I can't imagine sticking a needle in to myself. And I imagine that's a barrier to entry for some people that might be queasy around needles, might pass out around needles. But if you can't even see it and you can't even feel it, I mean, that sounds like a win-win. It sounds pretty amazing. So, let's talk about how you support it. Oh, there's a couple of questions, or there's at least one here where, Lisa's asking what kind of credentials do providers need? I think you have to be a prescriber, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. If you just follow through that job
NDNP.
that you added in there, Jody, that's the perfect way to just kind of figure out where it is that we're at and what exactly it is that we need from providers on as far as DEA or NPI or any of that fun stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and when Kevin talked about where we're at, so we're very particular on who we partner with and who we work with, because ultimately it's our brand, it's our patient safety, and ultimately we've seen some pretty interesting stuff in the marketplace. So I think we're in 10 or 11 states right now. We will continue to grow based on the partnerships we have. So if we're not currently in your state and you turn out where it's a win-win, where both of us make sense, we will get licensed in those states for the most part. There are a couple states that make it pretty difficult. I think probably everyone on the call knows what those couple states are, but we're really a provider first model. So we're looking for the right partner to help them grow, and we can get licensed and facilitated in those states relatively quickly. And it's kind of a two-prong approach. Number one, if the opportunity is large enough, because obviously there's time, energy, and money invested in getting licensed. If the opportunity is large enough, we'll do it immediately. If the opportunity isn't large enough, we'll put together basically a provider group that wants to do it. And once that opportunity cumulatively gets large enough, we'll get rolling out in that state. For example, we had some providers reach out to us in New York. Never thought we would get licensed in New York for at least 6 months. And that was one of the ones we added immediately because there's a large opportunity there. And once again, because we're able to provide that 2-day shipping, business shipping, it just makes sense. Because one thing we will not do is scale above our providers. What I mean by that is most pharmacies have an issue of, okay, we're 1, 2, 3 weeks out. I don't know how many providers on the call have had those issues, but we've been hearing it all across the country.
And that's pretty bad.
If we bring you on as a provider and we get a script by 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Monday through Thursday, worst case scenario, that patient will have it within 2 business days.
Great. Excellent. And they keep it refrigerated, right? It comes cold.
Yeah, everything's cold packed, top of the line UPS, first class shipping, everything's cold packed.
Okay. And so for those of you who are here today live, and I'll put it, if you're seeing the replay on the email, you can go ahead and look in this email for the link. And we have a special link today to learn how you can implement these in the pricing and all that. So you can go ahead and click on it. The prices are very good, I think very competitive. And in fact, I have a colleague who was meeting with you guys, I think last week about it, because she's looking for a good provider like you guys. She's selling a lot of GLP-1s out of her practice. So how do you support providers who want to start prescribing these, compounds and what does that look like in terms of onboarding process?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, we bring a multi-tiered approach. We want to support providers. First is obviously the actual onboarding process. So they can click on your link to schedule a time with us for us to collect information. Then what we normally do is we have a intro meeting or intro call via Zoom, via Google Meet, in person, depending on where they're at and depending if we have team members in those states. And we really kind of understand what they're looking for, what the process is, what they're trying to do. When you implement our system with our pen and our GLP-1s and NAD, you're going to see a pretty big panel increase because this pen isn't in the market. So when it gets in the market, your friends see it. Well, what are you doing? How are you doing that? How'd you get it? We see those panel increases. So we bring the providers on, we really automate the system as much as possible. We bring our pharmacist in charge on the call, getting everything lined up and set up within our system to be able to send the scripts out. We have a proprietary provider portal that the providers and their team members can use. It's kind of like the Amazon of ordering, for lack of better description. That's what Kevin likes to call it. We do take some, e-scripts and digital scripts and things like that. But that side of it is very straightforward. It very much is streamlined, ready to rock and roll. We can be as detail oriented and hands-on as want, or we can just simply send you a Loom video or a step-by-step process you can read through and get up and going. So that's part one. Part two is if the practitioner is looking to grow their business from a marketing and sales standpoint, right, and an efficiency standpoint, we have processes, techniques, and marketing material that we will customize to the practitioner, to the business to help them grow. One of the things we use the most, which is very old school, but is simply a digital or a legal size display that we put in an acrylic. We co-brand with the provider and they put it in their waiting room. I have an example of it here. I don't know how well this is going to come on the video, but it's something of this nature where it just simply says the drugs that we provide with the branding of the company on there. You put it into your waiting room and you would be amazed on the percentages of new patients that you have walking in your door, that basic sign gets them asking about it, whether they were not sure what it was, or whether they were afraid to ask about it, or whether they didn't think you did that at your practice. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how much this opportunity aligns to them. And then once they hear, they can get a proprietary delivery system that's easier to use. They don't see the needle, right? It takes the guesswork out of it. It's a pretty amazing process that we've seen for sure.
That's amazing. It's like how well TV ads work, when before pharmaceuticals were on TV. Well, if they're in your office anyway and they see a sign like that, it could spark some conversations, I'm sure, and increase some sales on that. So I was also wanting to know, where do you see the biggest opportunities for providers who partner with compounding pharmacies like yours? Where's the biggest bang for the buck, biggest opportunities?
Yeah, I think ultimately it comes down to scale. And it comes down to systems and processes. As the compounding pharmacy, we're not able to give you SOPs or things of that nature, but we do have partners we work with. We have systems in place to get you that information. But ultimately, if you're looking to grow your business and you're looking to grow this type of business with the pens and even somewhat with the MDVs, I don't want to, push down the multi-dose vials because that is industry standard. There still is ways to do that. But with the pen specifically, you can scale a practice leveraging telemedicine, leveraging our systems to scale with ease without having to put a ton of work. Let me give you an example. We've had a provider come to us before that built up a large practice of GLP-1s, and they got tired of it because they went to med school to help people. Well, their book was so busy, their appointments were so busy with people coming in and getting shots, right? Having to draw out the shots, putting the shots in, things like that, that he got really sick and tired of doing it. He wanted to help people, but he's like, I didn't go to med school just to be a weight loss clinic. That's not my goal. Well, understanding he still wants to help people and generate revenue, right? But do it at a scalable and easier process by able to leverage a system like the pen, right? Or let's say we remove the pen. Let's say you don't like it for some reason. Our automated system, our ordering system to get in front of patients, to text patients, to call patients, to email patients, to remind them to refill, to grab their credit card information. We have one of the top, if not the top, AI systems in the country as far as sterile compounding pharmacies go. I would challenge everyone to reach out and chat with Megan. That's our AI phone system, or text her and see how efficient that is. We try to take as much work off of the provider as possible that we legally can. Ultimately, if you refer us to a patient and you send us a prescription and something goes wrong, even if it was something that's we didn't see coming, right? We couldn't handle the situation. It was weather, natural disaster, whatever. It's ultimately going to hit on the reputation of the provider. Mm-hmm. So we really look at everything we do to make it as easy for them as possible, to scale that at a large number. Now, a large number to one person may be different than a large number to another person. But if you can provide a better delivery system, the sterility, the quality is next level, and you can do that in a quarter amount of the time, whether it's you doing it or your team members, right? Why would you not do that? I mean, how many providers get frustrated because they have to send in fax or they have to do different kind of information to the scripts? It doesn't make sense. So where I see that, to sum it all up, the opportunity here to increase revenue is increase efficiency, increase automation, and increase scale to as much as you want. Maybe you don't want 1,000 people on your panel doing this. Maybe you want 200, but you only want to work 2 days a week, right? That's where my passion is. That's what I love doing with these practitioners. Is we had a practitioner come to us and say, I'm tired of working in the hospital. I work for somebody I do not respect. I don't trust their judgment. I want to build a practice, and I've been trying this for 3 years and I can't get it done. Within 4 months, she was able to quit her job. She spends 2.5, maybe 3 days a week working. She's built out the scale with telemedicine and automation, and she loves it. And that gets me excited, because ultimately, I don't care if there's a hospital on the line or if there's a single practitioner that's by themselves. We all want to be more efficient. And that's one of our core values, is always keeping things simple and innovating always.
Yeah. And with 40% of Americans being clinically obese, I think there is just such a huge market for this. And I know in functional medicine, so many of us are trying to really bring our practices to, making it viable. And, even some of you who are teetering on opening a practice, this can be a great way to bring revenue in to your practice right from day one, and have people flocking to come into your practice when the people lose the weight and their friends say, what did you do? And they send their friends to you as well. So it's just a great way to bring in a lot more patients to your practice. And I also wanted to mention about the NAD plus, because most of us know what it is, but just in case, I want to say that this is a supplement I actually take myself, but when you're doing it as a compounded delivery system, it's much more bioavailable. And I want you to just talk about the benefits of NAD plus and precursors and things like that, because I have some of my clients on these, certainly those with neurodegenerative diseases, those who are exhausted, just, need DNA repair. I know as we get older, we lose our NAD plus, and you can become more exhausted. This is one of the reasons as we get older, we get more tired, right? So can you speak a little more to that?
Yeah, this is Kevin's areas of expertise, so I'll let him chime
Go,
in.
Kevin.
Just keep throwing me the hard ones. All right, cool. So yeah, so I'll put the stipulation out there. Obviously, we're not giving medical advice or any of that kind of stuff with this, but one of the key studies that came out, it's been probably 4 or 5 years ago now, was what they did was they looked at cell regeneration, and they started looking at cells and what they do in their life cycle, right? And the first thing they noticed when cells start dumping their NAD is when that life cycle starts to come to an end. So the thought process here is to simply add in copious amounts of NAD at that cycle period, and really force the cell to retain as much NAD as possible, which extends the life. That's why behind a lot of this is, you're right, the neuro stuff. You're also looking at, I'm sure everybody's seen it in Hollywood, where Jennifer Aniston and staking it, and Kim Kardashian, as far as, age is concerned, helps with, the wrinkles and those types of things. I will tell you personally, I was a sufferer of long COVID and had a lot of like brain fog and those types of things. And NAD to me has basically brought me back from the brink. I was to the point where I couldn't do any kind of recall. I was having a very hard time focusing and staying on task, and basically linked that to long COVID, and started taking NAD probably 2.5 years ago now, and have again come back from the brink. I was to the point where I could barely function half the time, and now it's to the point where I feel significantly better on a very consistent basis. I will tell you, everybody seems to feel a little bit different on the NAD, right? So it's like my experience is not the same as Reese's experience. I know specifically for Reese, his experience is he uses it much more, like you were talking about, for energy, right? Like if he gets run down or feeling, like he didn't get a good night's rest or whatever else, and Reese uses it, he gets like this euphoric, like high, where all of a sudden like anything's possible, and he can go, for a mile run. So it's just,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, well, I was trying to be nice, but it really just depends on what it is that you're looking for. And like I said, everybody's a little bit different, but I think everybody finds some kind of benefit in it. It's very similar to the GLP-1s in that I feel like every week there's a new study that comes out that talks about the benefits for this or that or whatever else. So I would just challenge everybody too, that if you are that interested in it, reach out, look into some of those studies. We're a part of a couple of different groups that specialize in NAD stuff, and we can get you some resources for those things. But it's pretty fantastic as far as I'm concerned. That's obviously, again, not medical advice, but take it with you what you will.
I think it's huge, especially among the longevity people that are looking into longevity and biohacking and just maximizing. But not only that, but just this neurodegenerative diseases are crazy on the rise right now. And this can be a really great tool in your practice to use. I use it in my practice, but to have your kind of delivery system on it would be really a huge benefit. And to have a practice that has this kind of delivery system, people will be coming to your practice for that reason. So,
well, and that's what I was going to say about Reese's point earlier was specifically, if you have those, like, what is your differentiating factor between you and the practice down the street, right? Is it, we offer the exact same thing, we're $5 cheaper, and that's what you're hoping to draw people in with? Or is it, hey, I have this pen, I have this thing that is completely different than the person down the street. And we've seen practices, like Reese said, that have grown 20, 30% in a matter of months because they take that pen with them. And when they're talking to their friends or when they're talking to anybody else, if you got 10 people in a room, 9 of them are taking GLP-1s and they're all talking to their friends about it, right? So you just have to get that differentiating factor really when it comes down to it.
yeah, great point. I'm a huge fan of it, like I said. And even the GLPs, I mean, they can be such a godsend for people. I'm really a big fan of finding the minimum effective dose for each patient. So to play with that and find what works, starting with a small amount and instead of just starting with a huge bolus of it, and just make sure that they're doing the weight training and things like that to mitigate any negative side effects from it. But I think that it's, you see a lot of people losing a lot of weight nowadays, and it's huge. I know that somebody had a question. Anne Marie wants to know if NAD supports or improves sleep, and it does actually help regulate the circadian rhythm, right?
It does. Yep. I was just going to say, I would definitely suggest not taking it right before sleep. And Reese could attest to this because he gets, like I said, you get that. Some people get that euphoric kind of high. So it's more of kind of a morning dose type of situation, at least as far as I'm concerned. But yes, it is supportive of sleep.
And I think that's one of the reasons people have trouble sleeping as they get older is their NAD levels drop. And they wind up not being able to sleep as many hours as they used to be able to. So I would take it in the morning, or if you have that afternoon lull, maybe right before that or something like that. But to do that would be amazing. And it just aids in cellular repair. I mean, I have clients that have all kinds of skin issues and things that outwardly are noticeable, and it does help with any kind of cellular repair, and cells are everywhere, right? So any other questions that anybody has? This has been so enlightening, and I'm so excited to have you guys on board. I put the link again in the comments, and I'll put it on Facebook. I'll put it in the replay as well. But go ahead and check it out. If you have a licensed medical practice, if you're a licensed professional, you can offer this in your practice right away. And assuming if they're not in your state right now, and they get enough requests, I'm sure they will get licensed in your state. So just go ahead and click the link. It's a little form you can fill out, and they will reach out to you and meet with you and tell you all about it. And you can get started pretty quickly on it and have that poster in your office pretty soon, so you can have your patients asking you about it. Anything else you guys want to add? This has just been really great.
Yeah, so Jody, one thing that a lot of prescribers will ask us is, how do we go about this process with the GLP-1s? So, we're an A pharmacy, right? So we have to have the prescription for the patient. We compound these drugs specifically for patient need around medical necessity. So first and foremost, we do not make a commercially available dosing, right, for the patients that need it. We want to make sure that that dosing is correct. On top of that, we compound the medication with B6 to help with nausea. That in itself is a great differentiating factor. However, who knows how long that process is going to stay available. The multi-dose vials are industry standard, but there are some sterility issues. There are some different things that are going on with that. So when you add the fact that we put our sterile compounded medication into this first ever American-made FDA-approved safety device, it adds a third differentiating factor, right? So we want to make sure that these providers know that, you know, we go through this process, we buy our supplies from an FDA-approved supply chain process, we follow all the compliance standards, we have all this testing. So we're going to put you in a position to where you have the ability to know you're doing something that's going to make that's on the up and up, and that you're taking care of your patients and giving them exactly what they need as far as medically necessary for them to get to those dosing, right? So we have our different phase systems with the pen, our traditional phase systems, but I want to give you guys some feedback of how much we care about what our providers say. When we first launched the business, we only offered the pens and our traditional phasing systems. We had so many practitioners ask us for microdosing, and we saw the value of it, kind of like you talked about, Jody. So what did we do? We invested the time, energy, and money in getting the microdosing certified through our third-party testing in the pen. So now we offer microdosing, okay? On top of that, once again, MBVs are standard process. We have a kind of a concern, at least our pharmacist in charge does, about the sterility issues. So what did we do? We decided, okay, we are going to roll those out to help people transition clients to the pens and help that process be easier. But we still feel like our product is such at a high standard and high quality, even getting it in the multi-dose vials enables them to have that type of combination drug that meets their medical necessity for those practitioners. So once again, we really do want to listen to our practitioners. We want to hear those partners. That's who we value. You know, we have our patients, but our partners, our consumers, from a business standpoint, are the practitioners. So we just want to be very clear that we understand and we're hearing what you're saying, and we want to grow with you and help you grow. But it looks like we've had a bunch of questions come in.
We sure do. Someone's asking, is it an injection, the NAD also that pen delivery injection as well? Okay.
Yes.
And then if someone wants to know, can you give an example of a medical necessity?
Yeah, so we get all kinds of different medical necessity questions, right? So I think everybody here would understand that B6 has been prescribed for nausea for, you know, probably close to 100 years at this point. And noticing that, you know, one of the biggest issues that we run into with the GLP-1s is that initial nausea, whether it's the tirzepatide or the semaglutide. So having that combination drug is fantastic. But additionally, we have, you know, non-commercially available dosing, and our phases do tend to jump up a little bit quicker than what's commercially available. So I don't know about you guys, but typically what we've noticed is that first dose or two, most people don't find a whole lot of success on that. And when we're talking about the amount of money that people are spending on these drugs, that they are really kind of looking for something to happen quickly, right? So they are grabbing these drugs for a specific purpose, and we start our phases a little bit faster. And then thirdly, if a patient's afraid of needles, if a patient is you know, just needing a little bit of help, we don't want them to be dialing a dose up because we don't think that they're going to be able to do that. Or we don't want them drawing out of a pen, or excuse me, a multi-dose vial, because we don't know if we trust them to actually do what they're supposed to be doing, or we don't think that they're taking the right amount. This kind of ensures that they're getting that exact dose that you're prescribing them.
Yeah, that's really great. I also think that functional medicine practitioners are in a unique position when it comes to GLP medications, because we all know, we've seen some patients who go on them, when they go off, they gain the weight back. With functional medicine, you have more time to spend with your patients. You can guide them on the lifestyle pieces that'll help them keep the weight off. You can guide them with all kinds of support with supplements and things like that that can stop the cravings, that can heal their gut, to do things to help. And then when they go off of it, I know Heather's on with us now, and one of the things she does is once a month, she keeps them on for maintenance. And that seems to be very helpful. And her patients are able to keep the weight off. So, so there's things that you can do where you have more time with your patients to really guide them and help them to keep the weight off. And I think that's really critical. I know Nadia is asking, is it can you choose between the semaglutide and tirzepatide? I can't say it right. Tirzepatide. Yeah.
Yeah. So the three drugs that we offer, and like I said, to the very top of our conversation, the in and out of Chick-fil-A model is we offer the semaglutide compounded with vitamin B6. We offer the tirzepatide compounded with vitamin B6, and both delivery systems, the multi-dose vial and the pens. The pens also come in microdosing. And then the NAD is also offered in the pen and the multi-dose vial. So we do not combine the drugs together outside of the B6 with those drugs.
Okay, great. And Anne-Marie's asking about what is the bud of each BUD of each pen? Is this a 1 month worth of the product requiring monthly refills?
Yeah, Anne-Marie's got a ton of good questions today. Good job, Anne-Marie. But yes, the beyond use dating. So we are regulated by USP 797, back to kind of the regulatory side of things, which requires us to put a 45-day beyond use date testing stamp on each and every prescription that's sent out from the time that we actually make the drug. So typically, by the time it arrives to the patient, we're somewhere in the 40-day range, something along those lines. And yes, we do ship 4 pens at a time for basically a 28-day refill cycle. So we typically don't and won't send any more than a month at a time. And really that's kind of a benefit to you guys as well as the patient. It maintains that the patient's actually coming back to you for service on a monthly basis, that they're checking in with you, whether you're concerned about, their actual weight loss or, whatever else. Additionally, you guys get to see them on a monthly basis, or like Reese always says, you can push them to like a telehealth type of situation if that's something that you're interested in as well, to free up some extra time. But yeah, great question about the BUD. We are looking at some additional studies currently with our third-party tester to try and figure out how to extend that beyond use dating. But that's a whole long process. Yes, 1 pen per week.
1 pen per week, and hold up that delivery system again, Reese, because it's really unique. It's pretty. The patients are reporting pretty painless, and you don't have to see the needle. It's just put it up, and it's like an EpiPen delivery. They don't even see the needle. So if you're patients who are a little queasy around needles, it makes it very easy for them to use.
And there was somebody a little bit earlier asked if it was an auto injector. It's not an auto injector. So it is single use, basically go at your own rate. So I don't know about you guys, but we've run into a lot of issues where people kind of get afraid of that auto injector because it just pushes so fast and it kind of makes that clicking noise. And for patients that are afraid of syringes or afraid of needles or whatever else, this kind of allows them to go at their own pace, do their own thing. They get to kind of do the rate at which feels best for them, and it's not an actual auto injector. So just want to specify that.
Yeah, great distinction. Renee is asking, can the pharmacy mail it to patients? That's what you do. It's direct to patient, right?
Yeah, so we're a closed door pharmacy. We can mail the prescriptions to 2 places. Most of our practitioners have it directly mailed to the patient. Maybe the first script may be mailed to the clinic so they can show them and actually walk them through the process. But so either to the patient and then or to the practice, as long as they have a dispensing license, depending on what states they're located in. Once again, I think we're in 10 or 12 states, something of that nature. But once again, for the right partnerships, we will move and get licensed in other places. We are really looking for the right practitioners that care about their patients, want to do it the best way possible, have standard operating procedures, and want a true partnership. We're not trying to just be a supplier. We're not, one of the big name pharmacies. We're here to partner with our providers and really help them grow along with us, giving us feedback, giving us advice, telling what their patients are saying. I don't care what anybody says. I think I would put our pharmacy, our processes, our doctors against anyone in the country. But with that being said, anytime you're transitioning, you're making changes in a business, as everyone on here knows, there's going to be bumps, there's going to be bruises. So we try to limit that as much as possible by leveraging systems, processes, and automation to make it as easy for you and your patients as possible. And that's why we're so selective of who we work with, because sometimes people don't want or have the energy to do that, and we don't want to set people up for failure.
Yes, great point. And I'm also very careful with who I bring to you in this group because it's my reputation on the line too. And these guys have been great to work with, and they've met with me multiple times to make sure that, it's a good fit for our group. And I really, I think, I think it'd be a really good fit for your practice, given their backgrounds in this industry. They're not newbies, and they know what they're doing, and they're really careful with safety. So I feel very comfortable recommending them to you guys. Another question about thoughts on dosing that is every 4 or 5 days. Can we do this with your process?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Again, Anne Marie's just killing it today.
She's on fire.
Man. Yeah, so if you've looked at the actual studies done, both the tirzepatide and the semaglutide does have a 7-day half-life. So typically we're not looking at a 5-day type of dosing scenario for the semaglutide, just because it does stay in the body pretty consistently at a week pace. The tirzepatide is a difference in that, and there are a lot of studies coming out now suggesting, especially patients that end up plateauing, to get them to a 5-day cycle, which is definitely doable. It's not something that we are currently kind of made for as far as that's concerned. I mean, you could just order every 20 days basically if you really were wanting to do that, or cycle through a refill every 20 days. But it is something that we have seen, and we do see, not as super consistent basis, but definitely do see with the pens currently.
Great. Renee also, she has patients, she's licensed in several states, and she says she sees a patient once a month. She does a lot of telemed, but you send what, a month supply out at a time? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Okay. 4 pens, 28 days supply.
Yeah, 28. So they're all set. So if they see you once a month, that would be perfect timing in terms of reordering, adjusting dose, seeing how they're feeling, all that kind of thing. And then Anne-Marie, once again, how do we order Life File?
Yeah, so once again, the link that Jody put up there is just a specific link for this group. It enables us to get the information from you guys to then schedule a meeting. We'll do an onboarding meeting. Here's one thing we haven't brought up is, me and Kevin are the co-founders of the pharmacy. You will have direct access to us, to our pharmacist in charge, Dr. J, and our team to help you grow and scale. Once again, we talked about if you live near Idaho or you're in Idaho and you want to schedule a time to come check our pharmacy out, we are open to do that. I've never seen another sterile compounding pharmacy that does a scale that we do that offers that to practitioners. Just haven't seen it. I'm not saying they're not out there, but I'm saying I had not seen that. So the process would be you'd fill out the form, we'd schedule an onboarding meeting with you, we'd walk through to make sure this is a right fit, we'd go over pricing, things like that. Our pricing is very, very, very competitive. We've never really had a situation where someone didn't want to work with us because of pricing. It just hasn't happened. I'm not saying it won't, but it hasn't at this point. And then we figure out, okay, here are the next steps. How many clients do you have on panel that are leveraging these peptides? Because once again, if you come to us and say, hey, Reese, we have 20,000 patients that we want to move to you tomorrow, we can get there, but we can't get there tomorrow. I'm not going to bring on a provider and say we can execute and then not execute. It's not going to happen. So we work with you and put together a format to make sure that's taken care of, and then help you grow that business in whatever format you want to reference. You pointed out that, I think it was Renee, does a lot of telemedicine. Once again, a lot of our practitioners have grown that panel and grown that business around this process because it is scalable and it's easier to implement if you do it the right way. And that's what we kind of focus on.
Great. Renee is going to come check out your facility, which sounds great. Let us report back to us, Renee.
Reach out to us, Renee. We will definitely let you come. We typically do our walkthroughs on Fridays because I don't know if Reese mentioned this, we don't ship on Fridays just because we don't want it sitting in UPS trailers over the weekend for, all that fun stuff for heat and cool and everything else. So we don't ship on Fridays. So we'll have you come in on a Friday and there won't be a whole lot of people here and you'll just be able to kind of walk around and see what it all looks like.
Okay, great. And I'm noticing a lot of people are joining us live on Facebook as well. And I just put the form on there also. So check in the comments, you'll see it there. And my friend Katie wants to know, are you licensed in Massachusetts?
We're not currently licensed in Massachusetts, but we are in the process of going through that because we've
Oh,
had some
good.
practitioners reach out. So definitely, if she's interested, please do fill out the form. We'll have a conversation, and like I said, we'll give you a time frame on that. Once again, there's really only 2 states that we're more than likely not going to get licensed in anytime soon. Other than that, the 48 other states are on the table. It comes down to obviously compliance processes and systems and being able to facilitate that. When I say that we really are looking for business partners, that's what we're looking for. So when we come to a provider that says, hey, Reese, we need X, Y, and Z, this is what I'm looking to do, we'll work with you on that. And we have no problem investing the time, energy, or money to do that for the right type of partners.
Okay, great. And there's some confusion on which, do you add B12 or B6? I think you said B12, right?
No,
Yes.
B6.
no, B6.
Oh, yeah, B6. Okay.
B6 for nausea, yeah.
Okay,
There's
so
a lot
yeah.
of studies out there in the industry as far as B12 toxicity is concerned, and I think everybody knows that in every, energy drink and everything else that's available on the planet, there's B12 to the maximum in it, and that was one of the first things that we noticed, in a lot of different studies that are coming up through compounding pharmacies, is that there's a lot of B12 toxicity out there in the market right now. So just trying to avoid that complication as that is.
Okay, great. And yeah, the B12 unfortunately is usually in the form of cyanocobalamin, which, let's put some cyanide in with your B12. Good idea. But that's great because that can definitely help the nausea for sure. And yeah, Renee filled out the form. Thank you. Great. A couple of questions if you're in Pennsylvania or Texas. I think the best thing to do is fill out the form and they can get back to you because like I said, if there's enough demand in your state, they'll get licensed there. They're working on getting licensed just about everywhere, as they said. So Pennsylvania and Texas, not yet, or?
Not Pennsylvania, not Texas. Currently, I can just run through it. We are Idaho, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Wyoming, Montana, Kansas, Florida, and New York. We are currently in the process of getting licensed in Missouri and in Colorado, but those are just both within like the last 2 weeks of asking, people asking.
Okay, wonderful. All right.
So once again, Jody, I'll just say if you were not on that list and you're interested in the product, let's have a conversation, and we are not opposed to getting licensed in most states. It's just
so definitely, if they didn't mention your state, just fill out the form anyway. It can't hurt because it's like kind of lobbying for your state for them. And there's a question about B6 toxicity. How much B6 is in each injection?
Yeah, so it's 10 milligrams per ml.
Yeah, it's not
so
a lot
really
for
you're not
once a week, guys. It's really
once
not.
a week you're looking
Yeah.
at it, and it's nice because, like I said, there's not a lot of B6 and a lot of things out there right now. So it's not one of those ones where you're going to see a ton of, exterior B6 kind of entering the body as well.
Yeah, Melissa's mentioning that she has some compounding pharmacies using nicotinamide. Why did you guys choose? Did you choose B6 specifically because of the nausea, but not nicotinamide?
Yeah, so just specifically, just knowing that B6 is used in kind of our, what most providers would consider our biggest at-risk population, pregnant women, as a nausea holder. I think that was kind of our original thought process was, if we're willing to use it in kind of our biggest risk population, then it's probably safe for the masses. Whereas, there's different studies with nicotinamide and there's different studies with Zofran and there's different studies with some of these other drugs out there, where, there's a handful of people that just don't tolerate it quite as well.
Great. Okay. I think that's it for questions. I want to thank you guys so much. If you have any additional questions, definitely fill out the form. Check for it in this. I'll put it in one more time in the chat, and these guys can get back to you if you have any follow-on questions. But I hope you decide to add this to your practice. I think it can be a great way to get your practice booming with satisfied patients and really help those that are very much struggling with weight loss and be a real catalyst for change for them, because when they start seeing results, they're going to start embracing a better lifestyle too. Sometimes it's just a depression thing when they feel like there's no hope ahead, and this can really provide a catalyst for getting them to follow other recommendations of yours as well. One thing I wanted to mention, a colleague of mine and I were talking earlier, if they are experiencing rapid weight loss, one of the things you may want to do is get them on a binder so that will help mitigate the side effects of the weight loss, because as you all know that in fat cells, we store a lot of toxicity and it gets released pretty quickly. So I would always get a client or a patient on a binder before or as you're starting this kind of the GLP-1 medications anyway. So just food for thought on that. I like to get them on a multi and also a multi-mineral, multivitamin, multi-mineral, make sure they're exercising and get them on a binder so you can support them in really successful weight loss and mitigating side effects as well. So anyway, thank you all. And I really appreciate Kevin and Reese, you coming on today. This has been really great. We really appreciate it. We hope to see you again in the future, maybe for some follow-up questions.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. Joey,
All
thank
right.
you. We appreciate being, your preferred pharmacy when it comes to these verticals. This is an amazing group of people. Your providers are just awesome, and we'll see everyone in the Facebook group as we are pretty active in there. We really do appreciate your time.
Thank you. Take care, guys. All right. Bye-bye.